Okay, seriously, I really debated whether or not I was gonna do this video at all because I kind of wonder how many marbles this guy is missing. Um, but he is putting stuff on YouTube, so I consider that fair game. And so, okay, there's this guy named Daniel Levesque. I think he looks like Dwight from The Office quite a bit. In fact, I considered making a Office parody because he looks and acts like Dwight Schrute, like a lot. Okay. So I'm going to direct the rest of the video to him. He made a video with a lot of false claims based on his own observations about witchcraft, and I just wanted to correct all the things that he got wrong. I've been a practitioner for a decade. I teach Wicca in Chicago, so that would make me an authority on witchcraft, especially Wicca. So you said there are three kinds of witches. The Wicca, which you categorize in white Wicca and black Wicca. I'll address that first. There is no such thing as white Wicca and black Wicca. In fact, there are several hundred different Wiccan traditions and witchcraft traditions. Primarily, Wiccans practice benign magic. They practice magic to heal, to prosper, and things like that. There are situations that call for binding, cursing, returning nativity, and stuff like that, but most Wiccans will not practice those spells. And the Wiccans that do still do it in rarity and do it only for when they consider it to be absolutely necessary. So your idea that Wicca is split into two groups based on that is absolutely ridiculous. If there is to be two different concerns for Wicca, it would be that there are modern Wiccans that follow kind of a rubric of the 13 principles of Wiccan belief, and traditionalist Wiccans who follow the old 161 laws. That's probably the biggest schism within Wicca. Nothing to do with white Wicca or black Wicca. That's just ridiculous. Second categorization you call the retard witch, which is highly offensive. But you call them, you say that they're retards because they lack organization and they're experimental. Well, first of all, most witchcraft traditions are mystery traditions, and therefore they are all experimental. That is the point of a Book of Shadows. And if you know about witchcraft, supposedly, you would have known that. That's basic witchcraft 101. So there is no such thing as a retard witch. There are witches that would rather go on their own than belong to a coven. But there are many solitary Wiccans as well. So, there's no such thing as another subclass of quote unquote retard witches. There are solitary eclectic practitioners that they know what they're doing, but they choose to follow by their own accord. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because really, witchcraft is about, UPG, which is, personal gnosis, universal personal gnosis. So the idea that, there's a subclass called retard witch, you you obviously haven't done any homework, studied anything anthropologically about witchcraft. Otherwise, you would have known better. The third one, and this is also incendiary, is what you say family traditions are all about. You say that they're hostile to other religions, especially Christianity, which I'll probably give you a little bit of truth to that. But you say that the reasons that they're hostile to Christianity happened hundreds of years ago. I say nay. And the reason is that there are still oppressions going on about witchcraft today. If you ask any person who is public about their witchcraft, they'll have encountered some problem at their job, at their school, with their family, where they were discriminated against because they were a witch. And it has all to do with the Christian tradition. So the idea that these things happened hundreds of years ago, no, they're still happening today. And if you had done your research, you would have known that. Also, you know, you talk about these people who supposedly came out of witchcraft traditions where they were sacrificing babies and stuff like that. I made a video and sent it to you about how I discovered that all those stories are bunk. Because when it comes down to it, if those stories were true, those people would be in jail. And there's nobody in jail for burning babies. Not in a witchcraft religion at least. There's nobody in jail for that. How do you explain that? I'll tell you why. It's BS. It's shit that people tell their new church to belong. They feed off each other with this shit. It is bullshit. Okay, bottom line. Witches, like all humans, are capable of practicing magic to harm or help. It's not implicit in any tradition to curse people or rape children. And that includes any witchcraft tradition, okay? If somebody says that they belong to a witchcraft tradition where they have to curse people and rape children, they're full of shit. They're full of motherfucking shit. Okay. The Satanists, who usually get blamed for the baby barbecues, they disavow this too, so we can't blame it on the Satanists either. Satanists are good people. They have a little bit they have a tradition different than mine, but many Satanists will claim that if you don't follow the 11 laws of the earth, that you're not a real Satanist either. So there's a lot of people claiming to be Satanists that aren't Satanists because they want to go around and just wreak havoc. But the real Satanists, the Satanists have done their homework, they've done their reading, have read LaVey, have read the other philosophies on Satanism, will tell you that there are lots of fluffy Satanists as well. There is no base, no military base in this country that's ever had 200 active witches at one time. So you're full of shit. And that's basically, a fact. There's never been a base with 200 witches on it. I think the most has been like 80. Or I think no, I think the one in Texas, the one that had the first, um, you know, circle was maybe 100, but that's about it. That's about as far as it's gotten. There's no such thing as 200 active witches on one military base. Um, Also, you said this happened in the 90s. Well, the first Wiccan base didn't even pop up until 1999. So I find that to be probably, bullshit. I call shenanigans on that one. Adherence.com estimates 1 million neo-pagans in the U.S., of which the majority are Wiccans. So if you want to see how many Wiccans there are in the United States, it's probably between 500 and 750,000. Tell you your best estimate. Opinions among witches differ on abortion. Some believe that obviously nobody intentionally kills a baby when you have an abortion. Okay, the people who believe in pro-choice, which I am one of, do not see a cluster of cells as life. They do not see a non-sentient cluster of cells that cannot survive on its own as life. Other people say that because it has the potential to be life, it is life, therefore we should save it. So, there goes your arguments. Apparently this witch was pro-choice. That does not mean that she doesn't see life as sacred. Also, your last point was about living sacrifices. You obviously don't know what that is. Sacrifices and offerings made to deities in the form of an animal or a plant are ingested. So, for example, an ancient sacrifice example would be a sacrifice to Freyr on Yule of a pig or boar. Modern day Wiccans and Christians who, have the Christmas holiday version, eat ham on that day for the same purpose. There's basically almost all the traditions from Christmas were stolen from Yule. So, that's your living sacrifice. And I would like to mention, as a last point, that basically, if there's any tradition that believes in a living sacrifice, it's Christianity. What's Jesus? A living sacrifice. Thank you very much.